Hi, if this is your first time watching my videos, my name is Chico and I have almost 20 years of experience in the industry, and today I'm gonna show you how to execute this haircut, this perfect fade. Alright guys, first thing to do is shampoo the hair, making sure there's no product, pomade, paste or gel in the hair before you start cutting. We will make a V section on the top to organize the hair, separating the sides from the top, so we can't start our clipper work or scissor work. In this case will be a medium fade on the side with the classic Pompadour. To be able to create the V section, you will start with your comb on the top of the head, on center of the head, to the highest recession on the hairline on both sides. So now guys, I'm starting using my shears so I can create a guideline. That guideline will be a foundation from the hair. All the hair from the top will sit and connect with that guideline. As you can see, I'm using my shears. I'm picking up the hair, bring it down in horizontal and cutting in one side, back, and all the way to the other side. That foundation allows you to know where to stop when you start removing bulk on the sides, when you are fading the side. Pay attention if you see the guideline over there. I'm gonna start blow dry the hair downwards so that guideline will be more visible. Now I'm removing bulk with my number 2 closed up to the guideline. You can't go over the guideline. By rubbing the clipper on the head, make sure you're removing 100% of all of the hair. Second thing to do is I'm gonna use number 1 close to create a first graduation line around the head, 2 fingers below my guideline. So now I'm going to use my 1.5 open and start blending that line. If you notice, my 1.5 go up to my number 2, up to my guideline, but it's not going over. Now I close a little bit to 1.5 intermediate and I'm keeping blending that line. Still doing something on the same thing on the sides and back. 1.5 open, now intermediate. On the other side, the same exactly thing. Just a reminder, all guards connect with each other. So now 1.5 intermediate. Be consistent in height with your graduation line. Now 1.5 all closed and keep blending that line one side at a time so you don't get lost. Now I'm using my number 1 all the way open and keeping blending that line. As you can see, I'm rubbing my number 1 open skin. Now number 1 intermediate. Make sure you're rubbing that guard and the skin to be nice and clean. So now number 1 all the way closed and keeping blending the line. If you notice, the line will start disappearing. On the other side, the same thing. Start with number 1 all the way open. So now I have my half all the way close to create my second graduation line, 1 finger width below my first graduation line that was done with my number 1. Stretch the skin so the hair will come out of the skin, and you'll be much able to make that line nice and visible. Still with half close, creating my second graduation line. Stretching the skin, creating my second graduation line. One finger width below my first graduation line. Using the same guard and starting again with my half open, I'm keeping blending those lines. Whenever stretching the skin, your blade cut really closer. So now with the same guard, I'm using half intermediate and keep blending that line. Do the same thing on both sides and back. Now it's half all the way closed. If you notice, the lines start disappearing. Sometimes you can use the corner of the blade just to pick some dark spots. Still half closed all the way. I'm working on the back of the head. Same thing on the other side. I open up it again and doing the same exactly thing on the other side. So now I'm about to create my third graduation line, one finger width below my second graduation line that was done with my half close. I'm stretching out the skin so my blade can cut and making sure the line is very visible. Do the same thing and be consistent in height. That line has to be very consistent. So now 0.5 open. That's how I start blending that last and third graduation line. I start open always. Do the same thing around the head, back, all the way to the other side. I'm using my 0 intermediate and keeping blending that line. So now I'm go down all the way to 0 closed and finish blending that line that I just created, picking up some spots with the corner of the blade, and I'm about to do the same thing on the other side with my 0 open, 0.5. So now I'm using intermediate again, 0 intermediate, and now 0 close on the same side. Keep moving and blending that line. Now I'm about to use my detailer so I can create another line, and I'm gonna keep that remaining hair around the hairline. That will be all gone, will be skin. By pushing my detailer up, I'm cleaning that line, still blending that line around the head. Do the same thing on the other side, pushing up. Now I'm going to use my straight razor just to touch a little bit downwards, that making sure that is where my shaver stops, because otherwise I'm gonna create another line. So now with my detailer, I'm removing the remaining hair around the neck area. When it comes to my shaver, I'm gonna go down to the skin in that area. So now I'm using my shaver to remove all that remaining hair. We'll go down to the skin, nice and gentle. You don't have to apply much pressure. Just put the shaver on the skin and go over again. So now I'm gonna do a shear work just to refine the corners and back of the head. Where's the connection from top to the bottom? Now I'm going to use my blending shears just to remove bulk and density and making sure that fade will be nice and connected and stretched. The stretched fade, it doesn't have that contrast, that heavy contrast. So now I'm still using my detailer to create the C-cup, the hairline on the temple area, using my straight razor to make sure that will be nice and clean. And I'm gonna wet the hair on the top for better sectioning. I'm gonna take a profile guide on the top. That profile guide means I'm choosing my length and shape, pulling the hair straight up with my finger nice and flat. The shape that will be created is square shape, and I'm choosing my length. So I'm connecting the back with the profile guide, still rounding off my fingers a little bit because that area of the head is very rounded. I'm going to split my profile guide in two, and I'm gonna cut one side of the top at a time, following my profile guide. From the side, I section the hair, and from behind my client, I'm gonna cut nice and flat and square, following my profile guide in the center of the head, taking a small section going towards the front, grooming the hair backward. Every time you're picking up a section, make sure that section is nice and clean. Again, following my profile guide, there are in the middle. Groom the hair backwards, cut it again. So do the same thing on the other side. Pick the hair up nice and flat, nice and square, because that's the shape that I want to create it. So now I'm going to break down the top with a small triangles to be able to connect the hair from the top with the sides. From the highest recession, I'm gonna take one sweep with the comb to the center of the head, creating my first triangle, pulling their hair to my guideline, and start cutting and connecting the hair from the top with the sides using my shear work. Make sure you go all the way to the back, make sure there's nothing left. Pull the hair towards your body down to the guideline. Now I'm taking another section, again bring it down to my guideline and keep cutting until there's nothing left. If you see, I'll take a small section, bring it down to my guideline, and make sure everything is nice and even. What you're gonna have over there on the sides is a nice graduation and connection. Then I do the same thing on the other side. If you notice, I'm bringing that hair down to my guideline and connecting their hair. I'm taking another section, continue with my triangles, bring it down the hair to my guideline and cut it. Grooming the hair backwards, make sure everything is nice and connected. Since I cut the whole length and I already create my shape on the top, I'm about to cross check. I cut in horizontal, but now I'm crossing check in vertical. By taking a small section in vertical, I'm cross check and make sure I'm not removing any length or changing shape. I'm just making sure and refine the hair. Before I start blow dry, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use a paste for better hold. When I'm blow dry the hair in the direction and the volume that I want, the hair will stay until I finish and refine my haircut. Rubbing the paste in your hands really nice and spread in the head. And now I'm starting blow dry the hair backwards. I'm using a vent brush and pushing the hair towards the back in the direction that I want. I'm using my shears right now. It's just to refine the corners, the little overlap that I still have there, just to refine. Continue to refine the other side. I'm about to texture the top with my point cutting technique. Make sure that point cutting technique is going between the hair, but it's not in horizontal, and also it's not in diagonal, because if it is in diagonal, you're gonna cut length. As you can see, I'm gonna cut in between the hair, so I remove weight and create more texture, more movement into the hair. I'm gonna take a small amount of sections. Don't cut at the same spot over and over again. Keep moving with small fine sections. I'm gonna groom the hair backwards and already starting making my final look. Using the hairspray, just make sure the hair is stay in the place that I want to. This is the final result. Thank you all for tuning in.